Hey Jill, good morning
Good morning.
and welcome everybody to another edition of the Luxdates First Date Kit. I'm really pleased to have with me here today Jill Saville. Jill, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm an executive coach, trainer in communications, leadership, and inclusion, and a speaker. Although the speaking part, with this crisis, we're not doing much live. My brand is Unlocking Possibilities.
Okay, well, thank you. Now, you are a licensed PCM trainer. Could you first explain to us what PCM stands for? And then I'm also interested in what made you interested in communication?
So, communication, I think a lot of it is how we're born, and I like people and I like to talk. So, communication for me, is yes, it's just something that I like doing. I became interested in process communication though, because there are some people that I instantly click with, and there are some people that I could know for years and I just don't get them at all. So, this trying to understand myself and understand people more, I thought was a great idea, and it's one of the best tools that I've got, I think.
Could you explain to us in 3 sentences what it is?
3 sentences. So, we're made up as humans of 6 different floors. Imagine a block of flats,
Mm-hmm,
and each of these floors has strengths,
mm-hmm,
but our floors are not in the same order necessarily as somebody else's, and
mm-hmm.
that's when we can find difficulty with the communication.
Okay.
Um, is it easier if you show the slide?
Yes, absolutely. Let me show the slide to what you just illustrated. So here we have the block of flats.
So here we have the block of flats, and this is an image that I think is really useful. It's got all the 6 titles of the different parts of us. I'm not going to talk much about them other than to notice the harmonizer, because the harmonizer particularly has got a gender bias.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I.e., about 30% of the population would be this harmonizer base, and the strengths of the harmonizer are around being warm and caring.
Mm-hmm.
But 75% of those harmonizer base are female. And I
Oh,
think that's probably why people assume that women are, the emotional ones. And but I, like you, probably know many women that aren't particularly warm and cuddly and
and so we can see that there are different communication styles. Is that something that you have found out in your work?
um absolutely, there are different communication styles attached to each of these floors. Is it possible to click to the next slide?
Yep.
Because I've just got a couple of profiles side by side
Mm-hmm,
to illustrate how different this can be.
mm-hmm,
So imagine that you are the person on the left,
mm-hmm,
and so you want to communicate, you're warm and friendly. I've got somebody in mind who's absolutely like this.
mm-hmm.
And then you look at person B. These are real profiles, by the way. Person B, the harmonizer floor is so, it's not very well developed.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to move up to that floor, to communicate from it, it will take an awful lot of energy.
Right.
So these 2 people would have to try to communicate from probably the
Yeah.
2 purple ones. So both are moving, both are using energy to connect. So this is not going to be, and I can tell you it isn't, this is not a particularly communication. One of them is me. So yes.
So
Thank you.
oh, thank you for your explanation. So let's say two people are on a first date, and a feedback that I often get is from the woman. She says, "You know what? I know everything about the guy, but he doesn't know anything about me. He never asked me a question about myself. He was always just talking about himself. And then when I talk to the man, he says, we had a great connection." So what, in your view, has been going on there?
I think there are so many things there, and one thing that springs to mind is that it's similar to networking, isn't it? Because I used to really find networking hard, and some days when I'm low energy, I still find it hard. But we turn up and we think we've got to be absolutely scintillating and interesting. And in fact, connection is based on being interested and curious about that other person.
Right.
And many of us, there is a natural communication style that does ask questions and that is curious, but then other people are not necessarily curious. And the second thing I would say is it could also be quite a stressful situation, a first date.
Yep, indeed.
And connecting when we're under stress is difficult.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's difficult when you're not under stress, but if you're under stress in this first date, when you want to impress and you're probably a little bit insecure, that makes it difficult. Now, until I started looking into communication and everything it entails, I was completely oblivious of my communication style and also my communication needs. And I think that's true for most people. And yet, most people would say, if you ask them, that they're excellent communicators. Communication, that it's not my problem. I'm not the problem. The other person is the problem. Now we know that it's not true. We can all improve on our communication styles.